Hello and welcome to the Investment 2020 National Apprenticeship Week Scotland Q&A. You may be planning what subjects to study for Highers or thinking about college, or you may be in S5 or S6 and considering an apprenticeship as your next step. Whatever stage you're at, the session today will give you an insight as to what it's like to be an apprentice in investment management. Two fantastic apprentices have joined us today from M&G. Could you please both introduce yourselves?
Hi everyone, I'm Fatimah. I'm a Change Analyst Apprentice at M&G in Edinburgh.
Hi, I'm Alex and I'm a Customer Experience and Journey Improvement Apprentice at M&G in Stirling.
Great, thanks both. Before we move on to hear about the career journeys of Fatimah and Alex, let's look at what the purpose of investment management is. Investment management helps people have long-term financial security. It helps people grow the value of their money and make sure they have enough of it for when they need it. For lots of people, this is when they retire from work and no longer have an income through employment. Investment managers pull together people's money and they invest it in companies and projects globally in the aim that they get a return on their clients' initial investment. You can find out more about investment management and career pathways at the Investment 2020 website, which is www.investment2020.org.uk. So it's time now to hear from our apprentices. Our apprentices have both left school in the last couple of years and they've experienced making career decisions, beginning new roles remotely and also experiencing university. So let's find out about our apprentices and their decision to take the apprenticeship route. Fatimah, what were the deciding factors for you that led you to take an apprenticeship?
So I knew that university wasn't for me because exams were a strength of mine. So I wanted to broaden my skills and challenge myself. And I had never had an experience of working, so an apprenticeship was the perfect next step for me.
Perfect, thanks Fatimah. Alex, how about you? What made you sure that an apprenticeship was your preferred next step?
I didn't know that an apprenticeship was my preferred next step. I actually spent a year at uni at the University of Glasgow studying law, and it wasn't for me. It felt isolated and I couldn't see myself going into that career. School had kind of taught me that uni was the natural next step and I didn't really explore other avenues. And then I found out about apprenticeships, which was a combination of learning and working, and it was supported. They trained you into this role and they wanted you to be good at it. So it just felt like something that suited me a lot more.
That's brilliant, thanks Alex. And quite often it's not until you try something that you know, and I think that's really reassuring for people to hear. Thank you. So students often have questions about what to expect from the recruitment process. Every firm, as we know, will have a slightly different process and a different approach, but everyone wants applicants to do well and to have a positive experience no matter what the end outcome is. Fatimah, can you tell us a little bit about your experience during the recruitment process for your apprenticeship?
Yeah, so firstly there was an application and I submitted my CV, and then there was a telephone interview followed by some testing, and then was the big video interview, and then finally it was the assessment day, which also included a face-to-face interview.
That's great, thanks Fatimah. And Alex, what about you? What aspects of the recruitment process did you find most challenging and why was that?
The bit that I found most challenging was also the bit that was the most beneficial, and it was just about how long the process was itself. It lasted a few sessions, and those sessions before the final interview were all about teaching you about M&G, apprenticeships, and how to best show yourself in interviews as well. And it was definitely different because it went on for so long, and it kind of added to the stress because of the big build-up, but it also made you less stressed because you just felt so much more prepared by having this outside help.
I think there's some excellent points there, Alex. And yes, sometimes recruitment process can seem as though they're quite long, but as you say, there's quite a benefit to that because it gives you an opportunity to explore the firm, explore the role and get to know that a little bit better, which overall helps in that whole recruitment process, doesn't it, as well? And it's really important to remember, as you just said, it's kind of a two-way process, an interview. It's not just about, are you the right person for that job? It's about, are those jobs and that firm the right thing for you too? So I think that's a really good point. Thank you. So Alex, what would be your advice to those students who are perhaps in the middle of a recruitment process and they're due to have an interview soon?
Well, practice is the main point, as always. Practice your interview, look up questions and prepare yourself for what's coming, but also write down your strongest assets. Write down the things that you can bring to the role, to the company, and apply them to as many questions as you can. And don't be overly serious as well. Chances are the people interviewing you are the people who are going to be in your team. They want to make sure you're friendly, will blend in, and will be a good fit with them. So it's just about being yourself and bringing what you can to the table, as cheesy as it sounds.
Absolutely. I think, you know, being yourself is so critical, because this is where you could end up working, and, you know, you can't be someone different day to day at work. So I think that's really good advice. Thank you. So Fatimah, you've gone through that interview process, you've done your tests and you've done the interviews and assessment centres, and well done, you've been offered that job, you know, at M&G as an apprentice. What type of support did you receive in your sort of leading up to your first day in that sort of onboarding period?
So we actually received a lot of support. In the holidays, we met with our team and our managers, and we got to know them and what they do and what it would be like for us to join them. And there was also a couple of induction days just before the first day, and that was where they told us a bit more about the company, and we set up our laptops and we had a chance to ask any questions.
That's great, and it's, you know, so beneficial to have that in advance. And I know M&G are really good at helping you to prepare for that first day. They put a lot of support in place. And Alex, what was it like then on your actual first day? How did it feel?
It was quite nerve-wracking, partly because we did start the job from home. We did start working from home immediately, and there was always a worry that, you know, we're not going to be in the office. Are we going to be able to talk to our team very often? How's it going to be? But they couldn't have been more supportive. A lot of my team and a lot of other teams have daily catch-ups, weekly catch-ups that are informal, just to make sure that you're part of the team. And on that first day, it was just like that. You know, they just made sure that you were comfortable, that you're prepared, and they knew the circumstances and wanted you to be comfortable in them.
Well, that sounds great. That sounds like a really positive first day. And obviously, Fatimah, you've started your career remotely as well. And so what's that been like? What's your experience been?
So as we all know, it was a big change, but M&G helped a lot to adapt. They made sure we were set up with all the right equipment, and they have different virtual activities to keep everyone together. And like Alex was saying, there's daily catch-ups and lots of socials to help you feel like you're there at the office. And so now I'm all set up with a desk and an extra screen and a chair, and I'm used to it now because M&G's helped a lot.
That's great. Yeah, it is. It's the setup, isn't it? It's all the tech and that side of things, your home office. But, you know, as Alex was saying, it's all those daily catch-ups that everyone has scheduled now to make sure apprentices and everyone else feel supported in their day-to-day job as well. That's great. So it'll be great to know a little bit more about each of your jobs. So Alex, you are a customer experience and journey improvement apprentice. What do you do?
Well, my role is quite unique because I'm not being trained into one specific role. The CXGI area, or the customer experience journey improvement area, is made up of 5 teams who all focus on a different area, and I'm going on rotation around all 5 of those areas. So far I've been to the insight team, who develop questionnaires, who question your feedback from customers, and just basically look at what customers are happy with and what they're unhappy with, and how we can improve their experience with M&G. Currently I'm with the strategy team, where I'm looking at vulnerable customers and how we can improve the journey for customer vulnerables specifically. So it's basically all across all 5 areas. It's all about improving customer experiences and making sure that M&G are providing the best service that we can provide.
That's great. And it sounds as though you're getting a lot of, you know, good exposure and insights to lots of different aspects there of the organisation as well, which is exactly kind of what you want on your apprentice in that first role as such. That's brilliant. Thank you. And Fatimah, you're a change analyst apprentice. So what is this job, and what skills do you need in order to do your job well?
So I work in a team that it's called the change team, and we receive change requests from different areas of the business, and there are changes to systems or processes in the business, and we analyse those changes for any risks or benefits, and then we present them to the the rest of the team, the wider team, and then we also help implement those changes. So the skills that I use on a daily basis are definitely communication. We have to communicate with different teams, so that is an important one. And also organisational skills, because there is a lot going on all the time, so you need to be organised and manage your time well.
That's brilliant, Fatima. And a lot of those skills you've mentioned, they're the sorts of skills that students are developing at school, you know, on group projects, for example, or maybe in volunteering experiences, or maybe part-time jobs. And, you know, advice to anyone who's making applications is to really draw upon those experiences, because they all count and they provide great examples of how you've developed skills as well. So moving on, you know, Alex, has there been a moment that's made you go, goodness, I have started my career in this big global asset management, and I did a little bit of university, but I've also, you know, come almost straight from that school route. Has there been a moment that's made you go, wow, this is what I'm doing now?
I mean, there's been a few. The things I'm exposed to, there's just different. It's completely different from being at school, being at uni. And it is when I talk to my friends who are at uni and I realise that I am part of the real world as such, and I know things that I wouldn't have before, especially because I'm in the finance industry as well. There's things that I just wouldn't have ever thought I'd be exposed to, but I am, and it's interesting. I feel grown up.
That's fantastic, thank you. And Fatima, what about you? What's been your wow moment?
Yeah, so it was in my first month, and I was getting an overview of another team from the manager of the team, and he said exactly that. He was like, oh wow, you're only 17 and you're already in an investment firm. So that was like the only time where I thought about it in that way, and it just showed me that it was definitely the right choice. And yeah, it's great to be in the real world.
You certainly both are in the real world, you know, absolutely. Okay, that's great. So now let's just think about your apprenticeship a bit, because obviously apprenticeships involve the studying side as well as the working side, doesn't it? So you're working towards qualifications. Alex, talk us through this bit. Do you get a certain amount of time off to study? How do you kind of manage that in your day-to-day?
Well, we need to get given 7 hours a week to complete our studies, which for me works out to be 1 working day. So for me personally, the best idea for me was to assign a whole day to it, and I block that day off in my diary so that people don't make meetings with me, so I can just kind of get the time to focus on it. But that time is flexible. Like if I have something that I really want to do, like Friday's my day for apprenticeship, and if there's something that I need to do on the Friday, I will do it, and I'll make back the apprenticeship time another day of the week. So it is really, really flexible. So they have been really accommodating with that.
That's great. So you kind of manage your own time. You know what time you've got, and you and your team manage that together based upon perhaps your workload and the flow of work as well. That's great. And Fatima, how about you? How do you manage your studying part of the apprenticeship?
Yeah, I'm doing the same qualification as Alex. So I also have 1 day, and we have 4 task books a month, roughly. 4 tasks, sorry. And so I chose Friday as my apprentice day, so I usually get 1 or 2 tasks done on the Friday, and then the last Friday of the month I use that to check it. And we have about 1 task book a month, yeah, and there's roughly 4 tasks in them, so it usually works out well. And yeah, 1 day is more than enough time to complete the work.
That's really good. So it sounds as if from what you said, Fatima, it's really organised, and there's a good method to it, so you can manage that successfully. Great, fantastic. So that's been great. But to finish off, let's think about what your advice is. So what advice, or what's the one piece of advice or tips that you'd give to students who are currently thinking about their next step after school or college? Fatima, what would be yours?
My advice would be that if you're unsure about university, or if you're unsure about apprenticeships, I would just apply to an apprenticeship. It's an amazing opportunity to start your career, and you don't have anything to lose, because even if you don't manage to get it, or you decide not to take it, you will have had experience with applications and interviews, and that will always help in the future.
And Alex, how about you?
Mine would be to weigh your options equally. There's no bad choice, but there's so many people leaving high school that just don't explore every avenue available to them. And apprenticeships are genuinely really good, and it's not only finance that offers them, you can get them in sport industries, creative industries, BBC. There's so many options out there that just aren't explored, so weigh your options, but there's no bad choice, just try them all.
Such great advice from both of you, thank you. You know, it is hard, isn't it, when you're coming up to the end of your studies, whether that's school or college or university, and sort of having to make these choices. But I think weighing up these decisions, doing your research, you know, watching films like this, you know, speaking to firms, etc., it's all part of that decision-making process, and to have some confidence around the decisions you're making. And that's really helpful, thank you. So the apprenticeship programme at M&G that Fatimah and Alex are part of is part of a broader Investment 2020 initiative to support people in thinking about and moving into a career in investment management. So we have a range of both apprenticeships and also our trainee 12-month programme across firms in Scotland and the rest of the UK. The programmes provide on-the-job training and some offers offer qualification, like we've heard today from the M&G apprenticeship. And there's a whole range of additional training and events that trainees and apprentices take part in to help explore the sector in more detail. If you are thinking of an apprenticeship, explore opportunities at M&G. Their apprenticeship programme details are on the slide and are open for applications between the 1st of March and the 16th of April 2021. You can find their opportunities on the M&G website and the Investment 2020 website. If you want to know more about career opportunities in investment management and find out about the latest vacancies, register with Investment 2020 or follow us on Instagram, Twitter or LinkedIn. A big thank you to Alex and Fatimah today for sharing their story and finding out about how they come to work in investment management. We hope this Q&A with apprenticeships have been helpful, and we hope to see you at Investment 2020 and M&G in the future.